Well, it is Saturday, the 23rd of December, and it's that time of the year, isn't it? It's a Christmas, festive, and all things nice. It is the silly season, and it's known, but hopefully Mr. Graham Hawkins, who's our analyst down in Cape Town for our meeting at Hollywoodbets Kenilworth, can point us in the right direction, give us something to play around, and of course we are racing alongside Turfentine on the day. So what's on the betting menu, you may ask, for this Saturday at Hollywoodbets Kenilworth? Well, it's 9 races carded, no feature races to speak about, but there is some feature race action at Turfentine on the day. Our first race will begin at 12:40. It is a late start, 20-1. We got 9 races carded, and race 1 will not form part of the exotic. So let's get straight into it, and welcome Graham, and to you, the valued racing fan. I trust that you well. How are you doing, Graham?
All good, thank you, Dees. Yes, looking forward to the Christmas festivities, but before we get to Christmas Day, as you said, we've got a bit of business to do at Hollywoodbets Kenilworth and Turfentine on Saturday, so looking forward to the racing.
Let's get into race number 1, which is a maiden plate for fillies and mares. It's over 1,200 meters, and as always, we take down the betting, the horses in single figures. Well, number 10, Graham, is at 6-1, and then we got a horse that's been back anti-post on Hollywoodbets called Kailami Girl, opened up at 13-10 and is now even money. As we know, she's been off since the 25th of February, which means it's 10 months. But what I've done here, Graham, is I've taken down betting of some of the other horses, because if you're not in the camp of this filly coming off a break, then there's a lot of value to be had. Number 1 is 12-1, Graham, 7 at 16-1, 9 at 12-1, 12 at 14-1, 13 at 12-1, and 14 at 10-1. So with the money and the support coming for Kailami Girl, there's value to be had. But are we going to get off to a flying start with this favorite, or are you cautious?
No, I think she'll probably come back to the track in very good shape. I'm glad to see there's money for her, because on form she's a standout bet. The form that she brings into the race is far stronger than any of her 15 rivals. And yes, it is obviously a concern that she hasn't run for 10 months, but horses win first time out, so they can certainly win off a break of 10 months, and Candice Bass-Robinson and Elder DeMeo teaming up. So I think the daughter of Kirari should land the odds in the opener. That Tibetan Voyage form worries me. Captain's Destiny, Marpori, and Figure 8 all ran behind Tibetan Voyage. Of those, I'm expecting Marpori, number 7, to show further improvement, and is certainly one to consider for your trifectas and quartets. Number 9, See You in a Bit. Last 2 runs have been fair back at Hollywoodbets Kenilworth, does seem to be quite limited. Again, number 10, Pretty Precious, has got a lovely pedigree. She's out of that wonderful mare over Arching, only 3.5 lengths back behind Trey Chic on her debut. So there's plenty of upside for number 10, Pretty Precious. And then number 13, Tequila Sky, of course, the stable in hot form. They had a hat-trick last week. And Tequila Sky now racing for the first time at Hollywoodbets Kenilworth. She may appreciate going down the straight, and she could certainly have a say. But my confident first choice, number 16, Kailami Girl, one that I haven't mentioned, number 14, Prankster, needed that last run. I think she'll be in the shake-up for the minor money with numbers 10 and 13. And those would be my top 4 in the race. But clear preference for number 16, Kailami Girl.
Well, Graham has given you horses there if you're playing trifectas and quartets. Candice's comment in the computer form, the form guide I'm using, it may just need the run coming back from this break. But the on-course team are very good in trying to extract that type of information from the relevant trainers. So if you want to wait come race time, maybe Candice Bass-Robinson will be interviewed, and she'll tell you more about the chances of number 16, Kailami Girl. But Graham just suggesting, she'll come back from this break. Her form line should be too strong. It could be a nice trifecta quartet to catch. On to the Byport race number 2, 13-15. It's over 1,200 meters. And let's go with the horses in single figures. Well, number 3 has been back from 3-1 into 22-10. Number 4 at 6-1, 6 at 4-1. Number 10, Song to the Moon, is at 7-2. Number 12 is a scratching at the time of recording, and then on to the others that are in double figures. It is the start of the Byport, Graham. It looks a bit tricky. This horse called Hudia, Andre Nel, you mentioned the good form that they're in. I know that horse called Escarpment came out to win in that Work Riders for Pit Porter, if I'm not mistaken, from that form line, Graham. So it's 1 from 1, so that's looking bright.
Yeah, and of course he's a half-brother to Desert Miracle, and Hudia. This is a very strong maiden race, Dees. I think there are a few in here that will certainly win their way through the divisions, and number 2, Hudia, fits that bill. Lots to like about his debut. He wasn't fancy to run well. He drifted out at 20 to 1, but nonetheless finished his race off really well to grab second behind Trippy Silk, and as you say, the form has been franked. Now, there are 2 horses running today that I said when they ran last time and disappointed us last time that if they get gelded, we may be able to give them another chance. Well, Star Performer, who's been hideously expensive to follow, has his first run as a gelding. He's also back down the straight, and that could be key. His last 2 runs were at Hollywoodbets Durbanville, but coming back as a gelding, I suggested they might cut him after his disappointing last run. So expect a much better performance from number 6, Star Performer. Just for noting, number 8, Maneki Neko, is also making his first appearance as a gelding, and his form is not that bad. But lots to like also about number 10, Song to the Moon. He was run out of it late by Dean Canama's impressive winner, the Real Prince. But there's plenty to come from number 10, Song to the Moon. So the top 3 choices have got to be numbers 2, Hudia, number 6, Star Performer, and number 10, Song to the Moon. And then you've got to throw in the likes of numbers 4, 2020 Vision, 8, Maneki Neko, and 13, Night Bomber into your trifecta and quartet calculations. But I think the winner will come from one of numbers 2, 6, and 10. 2, Hudia, does get the vote because that was an auspicious debut. But I suspect that we might see a different performance from number 6, Star Performer. And we know what his reputation is. And would be no surprise to see him win first up as a gelding.
Yeah, I think Graham could be spot on. The gelding could be the key here with number 6, Star Performer, whilst he's been costly to follow if you've gone for him in the past. Well, 4 to 1 could be an attractive price to get some of your cash back if you've gone for him, number 6, Star Performer. 2, 6, and 10, and I think Graham has every chance of doubling up in that bipod with those 3 numbers. On to the place accumulator. It's over 1,400 meters. It's a maiden plate for fillies and mares. Graham, the betting here, single figures, number 1 at 8 to 1. Then we got a horse that's been backed on Hollywood Bets called Mad World from the Garrett Van Zyl stable. Open 9 to 2, that has shortened into 33 to 10. Hasn't raced for 3 months. Number 10 at 22 to 10. And horse number 11, Ice Rain, who's a blinker strike for Andre Nel and Platinum Racing. That is at 6 to 1. You know, arguably lickety split. We can say frustrating as well to follow, but possibly the right horse on form here, Graham.
Well, I think it's safe to say that number 10, Lickety Split, sets a standard. Runner-up in her last 4 starts, but the problem is she keeps getting beat. So one might say she shapes up as a real place accumulator banker and is entitled to be fancied in that form of exotic bet. But as you've mentioned, there's money coming for number 8, Mad World by Lancaster Bomber. And this one has to be respected. Hasn't raced in September. Bernard Fader takes the ride for Garrett Van Zyl. Mad World, of course, racing in the colours of Spencer Cook and the Britsfontein team. So you've got to respect that money. Lesser chances to number 3, F8. Bring some nice solid form into the race, but I get the feeling that she's had enough chances. But Richard Faris, a significant jockey booking, and then we've mentioned over and over again that Andre Nel and Cornet Orfa in rich form. So number 11, Ice Rain, sporting blinkers for the first time, has got to go into the play. So I've included a number in this leg of the bipod, but you can be forgiven for bankering number 10, Lickety Split, in the place accumulator. You could get away with that. She is a top choice. But numbers 3, F8, 8, Mad World, and 11, Ice Rain will go into my bipod. That might be a little bit of overkill. This bipod could be an easy one because there are a number of solid first choices, but I've decided to go with only one banker in my bipod perm, and that will come to in a moment. So I'm going wider here because Lickety Split, while threatening to win, she could be vulnerable.
That could be a very interesting play from Graham, because I think if you beat number 10 Lickety Split in the bipod and the place accumulator in race number 3, you will certainly drop tickets. I must agree with Graham on number 3, F Flight. You know, these top boys that are vying for championships, they very seldom will go more than 3 times on a maiden. And Richard Fourie is stuck with this. Last 2 rides, he's trying it for the 3rd time. He may have some type of feel against this type of opponent that he could possibly get it right. And that's trading at 10 to 1. Onto the pick 6 here. That's at 1425. It's over 1400 meters. It is a maiden plate. And I want to get Graham's numbers here because I suspect it's either in or out in the first leg of the pick 6 for Graham. But let me give you the fixed odds, single figures. Number 1 at 6 to 1. Number 5 at 11 to 10. Then we go on to horse number 11 at 8 to 1. And 12 at 6 to 1. Graham, this horse called Fordray, Candace Bass Robinson, I think each time he possibly has come to the track, you have been positive with him because of his pedigree, etc. The stretch last time out to 2,000 meters wasn't a bad run, finding one better. But I'm going to make a comment here, Graham, and you may disagree with me. I think the key is the race course change, Graham, from Hollywoodbets Durbanville to Hollywoodbets Kenilworth. There'll be no excuses on Saturday.
Well, I think there are 2 keys. Yes, the change of track. I think you'll be better suited. Yeah, this is the other one when he got beat by Epicleros. I said, cut him.
Yes.
Cut him now. Well, he was cut 2 days later.
Sure.
So he was cut on the 31st of October. He makes his first appearance as a gelding. So Star Performer and Fudre for me are the 2 key runners that come back as geldings and could blow the opposition away. Last week I was all in with Sarki and we got away with that. This week I'm all in with Fudre. I am actually a little concerned that 1400 might be on the sharp side. That in fact he does want a bit further. But I think he packs too many guns for the opposition. Yeah, there's not much going up against him. Again, that Grey King form, I'm not certain how strong that's going to turn out to be. So I'm in or out. First run is a gelding. Number 5, Fudre, the half-brother to Golden Ducket, the half-brother to Rainbow Bridge, the half-brother to Wam. We've sung about his pedigree so many times before, but that hasn't got him across the line yet. But I suspect at this venue, and having just been gelded, we'll see the proper Fudre. And they're in deep, deep trouble, these, if they can't beat this field. So for me, it's all in. Banker in everything. Fudre in the 4th race gets the voters the nap bet for the day.
Yes, and I agree. I'm going to rubber stamp that for Graham Hawkins. So let's get my picture back on screen. Graham, that's it. Rubber stamp, Fudre, banker in everything. Graham was spot on, as he mentioned, with Sarki last time out. And if you bank at that, wow. If you found the other legs, hopefully you got a percentage of that. 3 million. That is what it paid. That pick 6 paid 3 million, unbelievably. And you could say there was just only one result. Race 5, 1400 meters, and this is for fillies and mares. Number 1, Hollywoodbets Graham, 12 to 1 into 8 to 1. That's being backed, anti-post. Number 4, Fun Zone at 9 to 2. 6 at 9 to 2. 7 at 3 to 1. And then 8, Montalina. I really like the look of this horse, Graham. I'm hoping you can give me some confidence, because when I look past, possibly horses 7 and 8, then it becomes a minefield for me. But what you make of Montalina, Vaughan Marshall's horse?
Well, I think it's Montalina or anything. And again, I might be guilty of overkill here. By my point, I've included a number of runners, but Montalina is very clearly my first choice, as she was last time. But I get worried about horses when you keep having to make excuses for them getting beat. But here again, you made the point with Fudre. I think the return to Hollywoodbets Kenilworth is key. She ran well at Hollywoodbets Durbanville, but there were always excuses coming from far back, running on strongly at the end. No excuses this time. The draw doesn't worry me. Ashton Harries is a polished rider, 52.5 on the back. It's certainly Montalina's race to lose. She's my clear top choice. So maybe I'm guilty of overkill in my suggested buy pot. I do worry a little bit about number 2, Desert Rose. There was so much talk about her last time, and her course and distance form here is good. So I do give number 2, Desert Rose, a bit of a chance, and you've got to fancy number 7, Unconquerable Lady, to a degree. Fun Zone's got a big mass on her shoulders, and Sidley, well, she won last time, and she could follow up. So this might be a little trickier than what you and I are making it. But number 8, Montalina, definitely the first choice. And I do think at the current odds there's still some value. So maybe the double Foudre into Montalina to get you going. And if you're really adventurous in the pick six and you want to set yourself up for the tougher legs that follow, maybe Banker, you'll get away with that.
Let's try that. I think that is a smart play there. I'm going with Graham on that second suggestion. Banker, and let's see what happens with these numbers to come. It's all about structure, as you know, with these exotic perms, and we're on to race number 6. It's over 1,800 meters. It's fillies and mares. Number 1 is a scratching. It's a small field here, Graham. So number 2 at 7-2, 3 at 11-2, 4 at 2-1. 6 at 7-2 and 7 at 5-2. If those two bankers have arrived, Graham, this is a race I just want to sit back, relax, and watch. I think we'll have to go the field in.
No question about that. We've had one scratching already, number 1, Eternal Optimist. So we're down to 6 runners. Pace is going to be a big factor here. My top choice, without too much confidence, would be number 4, My Flower Fate. There is a declaration of a tongue tie being fitted. That could do the trick because she's clearly talented, has not really been finishing off her races as well as she might be able to do. The tongue tie goes on, so she gets the vote as the top choice, but no confidence. Passion Doll and Time for Love, recent maiden winners, can continue to improve. Double Check has been there and thereabouts. Broadway Girl, Richard Faree riding for Joe Dreyer and team in the Eric Sand stable could upset them. The rank outsider Evening Primrose quoted 20-1 in the field of the 6. Even she could suddenly bounce back. So I'm taking no chances here. You include them all, but my top choice would be number 4, My Flower Fate.
If you're looking for a roving banker in any of your bets here in race number 6, then Graham's suggesting it's number 4, My Flower Fate. Then on to race number 7, and this is over 1,800 meters. How they're betting here, Graham, number 1 is at 8-1, 3 at 8-1, 4 at 9-2, 5 at 2-1, 6 at 7-1, 7 at 9-2, and 8 at 6-1. Actually, I wanted to get hold of Garrett Fazale, but my attempts failed, Graham, just to pick his thoughts on his runners on the day. So I did try, because he's got Natyam and King Peles here, and he looks to have a strong hand because he's engaged the services of Richard Faree, who is plus a half kg on number 7. But the clear pick from the stable will have to be number 5, Natyam, who we've gone for in the past with some confidence, and he's won. What did you make of his last start, Graham? I know he found one better, but nevertheless, that was still a very good run.
Excellent run. I think he was running on very strongly on that occasion. It was one of those sort of Cape B Stakes, and Supreme Dream was very well handicapped in the race. On the back of the form, there doesn't seem to be too much to choose between numbers 4, Prevalence, and 5, Natyam, but I get the feeling that Natyam will confirm the superiority over number 4, Prevalence. As you've mentioned, Gareth Van Zyl holds a strong hand. Let's not discount number 7, King Peles, that easily. He's got a staying pedigrees by Duke of Marmalade. He's a half-brother to a Derby winner. That last run in the Selangor Cup, when he went to the front, wasn't a bad effort, only 5 lengths behind Schleswig. I think that was to open up his seasonal account here in the Western Cape. He'll have benefited from that run. He'll probably get a different type of ride over the extended 1,800 meters. So I think Gareth Van Zyl holds all the aces. I'm expecting Natyam and King Peles to be extremely competitive in this race. Prevalence obviously has a chance. Blackberry Malt has a chance. Lesser so Harajuku and African Torrent, but I'm expecting the outcome to rest between the two Gareth Van Zyl runners. Natyam is my first choice, but no surprise if King Peles was to come home ahead of him.
I agree. Race number 7, I think Graham has read that spot on there. On to the 8th race, 1,100 meters, fillies and mares. How they're betting here? Well, let's get into it. Number 1 at 9-2. And then we go on to number 3 at 4-1. Now, this is going to be a very key horse for me, the Charleston, and I'm going to tell you why. This is at 7-1. 5 is at 7-1. 9 is at 7-2. And 10 is at 8-1. So this horse, the filly called the Charleston, Graham, if we're going to go back to, I made my play, and my thought process is quite, it's a puzzle, Graham, it's a puzzle. When we go to the first race, if number 16, Kailami Girl, has to win, I've made my play. I said, if that has to win coming off the break, I'm all in here with the Charleston. I think that she can bounce back to her very best if you're just going to ignore her last start. And she's trading at around 7-1, Graham.
Yeah, look, we were all on the Charleston last time out. She was thumped by Miss Greenlight, and Miss Greenlight runs again here. Miss Greenlight is certainly at her very best down the straight at Hollywoodbets Kenilworth. So Miss Greenlight could well go back to back. But let's talk about the Charleston. The disappointing thing for me last time was that, no, she said, the comment says vet examine no declaration or whatever that means, but she was not striding up. That was reported. She was striding very, very short in the running. So that was only a couple of weeks ago. How she'll move on Saturday, going to the gates might be important, but that's too late for the exotics. How she'll move in the race, that could be important, because at her very best, the Charleston could blow this field away. But I'm not as convinced as you are, because I was very disappointed, not necessarily just at the result, but at the rate that she was moving in her last run. So I think this is a tough race. I mean, Blue Holly comes in with a big chance. Highly Confidential, number 3. The Charleston, you've mentioned, number 4. Oni San drops in class from her last run behind Quintus Light. That was she was not weighted to go anywhere closer than she did. Richard Faree rides for Vaughan Marshall. They had a double last week. The form before that for Oni San was very good, so she's got to go into the play. Even Pacific Green could upset, and then Miss Greenlight was absolutely dominant when winning on the 2nd of December, when the Charleston was trailing in her wake and was not striding out to the best for Miss Marguerite can bounce back. The only surefire way of getting through this leg is to include the field. The minute you start to narrow it down, you're taking chances, and of course that's what this game is all about. So for me, a viable, not so short list would be 1 Blue Holly, 3 Highly Confidential, 4 the Charleston, 5 Oni Sam, 6 Pacific Green, 8 Miss Marguerite, and 9 Miss Greenlight. But if you're going that many using your own formula, then you've got to go the field. But I wish you luck with the Charleston. If she moves right, then she can certainly win.
Yeah, I think Graham has given us a lot of thought on this race. With the 11 runners go to post, he singled out 7 runners if you cut it down. But then again, it's the rule: more than half the field, then it's a field race. Yeah, the Charleston, Graham. Yeah, but just be it'll be let's call it a fun bet if Kailami Girl has to win at 7-1, because I hear you about her last start, and it does look to be very tricky when you start analyzing the form of the other runners. Then we close things off in race number 9. It's over 1,000 meters, and this will be the fastest horse from point A to point B over the 5 furlongs at Hollywoodbets Kenilworth. Number 2 at 7-1. Hollywoodbets number 3, Yellow Porsche Road, from 7-1 into 5-1. Number 4, the Abdicator. Wow, how did this horse bounce back to his best last time out? And there was money for him. Now 11-2, the Northern Hemisphere bred number 4, the Abdicator. Then on to number 7 at 8-1, 9 at 6-1, 10 at 5-1, 11 at 8-1, and that is it. The balance are all in double figures. Graham, what do you make of the anti-post support for Yellow Porsche Road? Hollywoodbets 7-1 into 5-1.
Let me just say that races 8 and 9 for me are clearly the toughest races on the card, and so from a pick-six structure point of view, you've got to try and make hay while the sun shines in the early races and hope to get away with it. The more you've got in races 8 and 9, the better your chances. Now, you will know that Yellow Porsche Road was my value bet for the day. It was around 8-1 you could get, and I thought, well, at 8-1 there's a lot of value about Yellow Porsche Road. I suppose I should be happy to see the anti-post market support, but I haven't got on yet, so I'm not that happy. But I was quite taken with his run behind Thunderstruck, and we know that he's had a huge reputation. We also know that he's had any amount of problems. He's a 4-year-old. He's having his 6th career start. He ran second to Charles Dickens on debut, beaten a neck. He then beat Enaman Morore in its second start. That's won a number of races. But he's very highly rated. Whether he's fairly rated off a 94, this is his acid test. It's his 3rd run after being gelded. It's his 3rd run after being rested. If he can't produce it here, then he's clearly too high in the ratings and will need to come down. But it's no secret that Vaughan Marshall has always held him in very high regard. But these races are tough. The Abdicator, as you say, came back to form last time, and won a good race over 1,000 meters. That was at the quicker Hollywoodbets Durbanville, but he has won over the course and distance. His only start, so he's clearly at his best. Over 1,000 meters, he'll put up his hand again. Guinea Lightning, that can improve and upset at bigger odds. Teflon Man, perhaps a bit disappointing last time, but can turn that around. Plaza Accord, a runaway winner of its maiden, over 12.50 at Hollywoodbets Durbanville. That was on the 18th of November. Perhaps this is just a warm-up run, but Richard Faree, Peter Muscat, they have a wonderful success rate. Beerenberg and Bluff and Bluff, those two horses fit that bill. That the minute you ignore them, that's the day that they're going to come and make you pay. So it's not easy. Yellow Porsche Road, I thought, was my value for the day. Perhaps his favourite, albeit a weak favourite at 92. He's not that much value anymore, but it's a tough end to a competitive day's racing. As I said, races 8 and 9 for me, clearly the toughest on the card.
Well, let's just say that Graham's value bet will be a roving banker in trifectas and quartets here, number 3, Yellow Porsche Road. Anti-post 7-1 into 5-1. Well, Graham has given a suggested bet, so let's bring that up and let him go through it. And whilst he's going through it, I'm just going to do an exercise and see the cost of this spend. But Graham, it's your buy pot up on screen with, I see you've also given a best bet and a value bet. You want to go through that?
Thank you, Dees. Yes, the buy pot, as I said, maybe a little easier than I've suggested it might be. I might have a little overkill in a couple of the legs, but the first leg, numbers 2, 6 and 10, Hoodia, Star Performance, On to the Moon. I think all three need to go in, rather double up than risk going out. The next leg, numbers 3, 8, 10 and 11. I've taken on Lickety Split, even though it's been second in the last 4 starts, which suggests that at the very least she's a bipod and a place accumulator banker, but I'm including F8, the well-supported Mad World, Lickety Split and Ice Rain from the Inform Andre Nell stable. Then my lap for the day, banker in all exotics, number 5, Footray, making his first appearance as a gelding in race 4. Then 2, 7 and 8 in race 5, Desert Rose, Unconquerable Lady and Montalina. If you want to cut that down, both you and I, D's, are very strong in the camp of Montalina. We expect her to win, so perhaps she presents as the second pick 6 and place accumulator and bipod banker. But then it gets a bit tougher. Race 6 in the pick 6, we set the field, but in the bipod, I'm happy to go numbers 2, 4 and 6, Time for Love, My Flower, Fate and Passion Doll. And in the last leg, numbers 4, 5, 7 and 8, where Gareth Van Sale holds all the aces, Prevalence, Natcham, King Pellers and Blackberry Malt. That's the bipod. The best bet, Foudray. The value bet, which has found market support, number 3, Yellow Porsche Road in race 9.
Graham, before we say goodbye to you, I've just did a small exercise just for pick 6 players. Thanks for that bar pot. This just on a thought process as we went through race by race, something that you can work around. Race 4, banker number 5. Race 5, banker number 8. Race 6, the field without the scratchings, we'll multiply that by 6. Race 7, I'm going to include Graham's bar pot numbers 4, 5, 7 and 8. Race 8 and 9, we're going the field. And if you multiply that out, it'll give you 317 Rand, which will be 10%. I think that could be a good play. You got the 2 bankers, and I think you should be safe after that, just hoping for a few results, and you'll never know. It could be a big payday for you. Graham, I think all the best to yourself and your family, and thank you for your valuable input throughout the year, and I wish you guys all the best over the festive season, and it comes from the entire team at Gallop TV, which you are firmly part of. Have a great one.
Thank you very much, Dees. Appreciate your good wishes, and I extend those very same good wishes to the whole team and, of course, to all of our racing fans.
Thanks to Graham Hawkins, and on behalf of Gallop TV, Graham Hawkins, myself, Dees Danan, you have a wonderful time bringing in Christmas and 2024, and until we meet again, you take care. Salani Gasle.